everybody, I've got a Jeep Gladiator here and I've brought it under this bridge so that I can give you a tour of it. We're going to focus on three main areas: the exterior, the interior, and the truck bed. Before we get started, I have the window sticker here, so I just want to confirm that it's obviously a top-of-the-line Rubicon model. This one in particular, stickers for $60,380, so it's pretty much fully loaded. A few of the options that it doesn't have include, doesn't have the body-colored fenders. It doesn't have the 4 auxiliary switches that you can get for if you want to add lights and things. And it doesn't have the optional spray-in bed liner. But other than that, it's pretty much fully loaded. So, starting with the exterior, obviously the Rubicon's the top-of-the-line off-road model. So with that, you get steel bumpers, obviously the Rubicon stickered here, red recovery hooks. You actually get taller fenders that can fit bigger tires without a lift, and they give you more clearance in general. Speaking of tires, while the Wrangler Rubicon comes with BF Goodrich all-terrains, Gladiator actually uses Falcon Wild Peak all-terrains, and the people at Jeep told me that that's just because BF Goodrich couldn't meet their quantity demands, so they had to go to Falcon to supply the Gladiator. Anyway, moving on, the Rubicon comes with this cool kind of red accent, so you get red accents on the sticker here. You get red accents on the Jeep badge on the side. You get a little red Willys Jeep on the wheel here. What else? It comes with a unique hood, so you get these hood vents that I don't think are functioning, but anyway. Just like the Wrangler Rubicon, the Gladiator comes with rock rails, so these protect your rocker panels, which when you're off-roading, it tends to be a really vulnerable part of the vehicle. And unlike a fender that you might be able to just replace, you can't really replace the rocker panels because they tend to be integral to the entire body structure of the vehicle. So it's good to have rock protection to keep them from getting dented and bashed up on the trail. So while the Wrangler Rubicon and the Gladiator both come with rock rails, the Gladiator also comes with protection for these rear bed corners because they're pretty vulnerable, just given that there's a decent sized rear overhang on this thing. Moving around to the back, you get red tow hooks back here. Worth mentioning, so the Gladiator Sport S is actually the one that boasts best in class towing capacity. It can tow, I believe, 7,700 pounds. Generally, the off-road trim levels of these pickups can tow a little bit less, but that said, this vehicle, the Rubicon, is rated to tow up to 7,000, which is pretty respectable. Granted, no mid-size pickup tows as well as a full-size pickup, but it's nice to know that if you've got the Rubicon, you've got a camp trailer or off-road toys, dirt bikes, whatever, you can still tow 7,000 pounds, so that's pretty good. You've got a 7-pin and a 3-pin connector back here. So a damped tailgate is pretty nice. So it's a 5-foot bed, which is equivalent to the short bed offerings on like the Tacoma, Colorado. Worth mentioning is that this is the only bed size available with the Gladiator. So the Gladiator, pretty well known by now, but it only comes in the 4-door cab, short bed configuration. So you get 4 doors, room for 5, and a 5-foot bed. That's the only configuration offered. Now, like I said, this doesn't have the spray-in bed liner. You can still see this tonneau cover is pretty cool. So you flip it over, and you just pull one side, and it lets it loose. And then you can just roll it back, and it has straps, and it can fasten it down at the back of the bed here. But there's a deck rail system, which is nice. You get LED lights, and then 3-prong outlet back here that is also optional. Pretty slick. Something clever that the tailgate can do. So if you fold it up and fix the cables behind these 2 tabs here, you can lock the tailgate in kind of a half up, half down position. So if you're hauling like wood or something that you don't want to fly out the back, or you want to hang something over, maybe you can find a use for that. Another little Jeep Easter egg is that at the back of the bed here, there are these imprints that kind of mimic where you would place dirt bike tires if you were hauling a dirt bike. And then you've also got your standard tie-down points, pretty basic back here. Steel bed. The Toyota Tacoma comes with a composite bed, but the Gladiator's bed is good old steel, just like the Colorado and the Ranger. So, moving on, we'll look at a couple more Rubicon things here. You do get Fox shocks on the Gladiator Rubicon. They're much better off-road than your basic Jeep shocks that come on lesser trim levels. That's about everything for the outside. Let's take a look on the inside, and we can check out some of the off-road stuff. Okay, so in terms of off-road features unique to the Rubicon, every Gladiator is four-wheel drive. That said, not every Gladiator comes with this kind of special off-road optimized four-wheel drive system. Only the Rubicon gets it. Jeep calls it, I believe, the Rock Track four-wheel drive system that has lower gearing. So in addition to that, the Rubicon comes with locking front and rear differentials. You operate them via this I kind of call it a paddle switch here. So you press it down to activate the rear lockers, and you press it up to activate both the front and the rear. And then you push this button here to turn both of them off. The Wrangler and now the Gladiator are also kind of famous for this unique electronic sway bar disconnect. So since it's got a solid front axle, you can actually electronically disconnect that front sway bar, which allows for more articulation of said front axle. There's a unique off-road front-facing camera in this thing that can kind of give you a view of the rocks that are in front of you. There's also hill descent control. The Rubicon has this cool red accent color scheme here, so you can see there's red stitching on the seats, on the handbrake here, on the shift boots, and then obviously this kind of funky satin red finish across the dashboard here as well. Other features that are, obviously this whole interior comes out of the Jeep Wrangler, but other features that I kind of like personally, this 8.4-inch Uconnect screen is really nice. The software is good. This grab handle right here is nice. Can we make this stop beeping? A couple other features of the Gladiator that I like that are obviously shared with the Wrangler too. The interior is just kind of nice. The touch points are good. These dials are rubberized. These are real screws. Here on this plate, there's a nice mix of rubber, plastic, and kind of a metal finished plastic. It's generally pretty water resistant in here. Jeep makes a point to say that, you know, if the top's off and it gets wet or if something gets muddy, it's generally pretty water resistant, so everything's easy to clean up within reason, of course. I really like these door handles. You can pull them from this direction, and they're just robust and ergonomically friendly and a lot easier to open. And yeah, altogether, I think the interior, I wouldn't call it a luxury car interior by any means, but I think it's nicer than what most people would expect from a Wrangler or a Jeep Gladiator. So I think Jeep really did a nice job with it there. Okay, now we'll move on to the back seat where there's a couple cool things that I want to show you too. So, back seat, fairly configurable. You can lift the seat bottoms up really easily. There's lockable storage under here, and there are actually some dividers in there, so you can, divide ropes, bug spray, headlamps, whatever. Spare tire tools are right here. Over on this side, seat bottom flips up as well. There's an additional locking storage compartment, and then this is pretty clever. This is a part where you can put all the bolts for the top, the doors, and the windshield, so you don't lose them anytime you take the top off or the doors or for the windshield mount. So that's really clever, really handy. One more thing over here, so if you fold the rear seat back down, one of the kind of novel features of the Gladiator, a feature unique to the Gladiator, is this removable Bluetooth speaker back here. So it charges back here anytime it's in place, charges anytime the vehicle's running. It's pretty heavy duty. They call it water resistant. Feels like a substantial piece. There's Alpine branding underneath, so if you're wondering if it's good quality, the fact that it's got an Alpine logo on it tells me that it's probably a pretty decent speaker. And yeah, rubberized, seems pretty easy to use. Yeah, I'll have to check it out later. one more thing, I almost forgot. They include USB Seaports in here, so there's a really nice mixture of connectivity. So up front, you've got a USB-A port and a USB-C port in addition to 12-volt outlet. Back here, you've got two USB-C ports, two USB-A ports, that's the old school style port, and then there's even a 3-prong outlet back here. Also, second row air vents. So altogether, pretty generous offering of features in this thing, I must say. And I think that about sums up our Gladiator tour. Altogether, this thing's a lot of fun. I think the fact that the roof and the doors come off obviously makes it more than just basic transportation. I think it's got a more toy-like feel to it than a comparable Toyota Tacoma or Chevy Colorado. Even if you're looking at a Tacoma TRD Pro or a Colorado ZR2, I think the Gladiator Rubicon is a lot more exciting. That said, it's also a lot more expensive than those vehicles. So I think Jeep knows they've kind of captured lightning in a bottle with this thing, and it's obviously priced accordingly, especially given that fully loaded, this one's almost $61,000. So really excited about this thing. I've had a lot of fun with it, with the top on, with the top off, doing a little off-roading, and yeah, this is in my opinion probably the coolest mid-size pickup you can buy right now.